Welcome to the What She Taught Me podcast.
Unfiltered conversation between a mom who's lived it
and a daughter who's still figuring it out. Welcome back to another episode of our podcast. We are so happy that you are able to join us today. Our conversation is going to be about generational curses, trauma, and healing. We've heard about that probably on social media. Some of you may have experienced it in your own home, in your own family. And we just want to break that down a bit and have a conversation about that.
Yes, a raw, unfiltered conversation, meaning we're getting personal here, and we usually do, and sometimes you can actually see the little pool between the two of us on here. But we'll be talking about what we're choosing to end, what we're unlearning, what we're learning, and the legacy that we would want to rewrite.
Yes. So first, we want to talk about exactly what is a generational curse, generational trauma, cycles. How would you define that?
Yes, and you mentioned cycles. Indeed, it's cycles. It would be patterns, and trauma would be an example. Negative behaviors and patterns that are passed down from generation to generation.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much the idea of what it is. It's most of the time it's something negative. It's something that is reoccurring. So it must be an issue, a struggle that is present. And facing generational curses, cycles, trauma can be hard because, first of all, you have to be honest with yourself. By accepting that there is this a problem and it's reoccurring and we have to do something to stop it. But how exactly would we even recognize those trauma, those cycles, and those patterns in the first place?
I'd like to first say that the generational curses can also be seen as something spiritual, something which can tie you down as a people to prevent you from moving forward.
Yeah.
Something that holds you down is like some unseen, chain that is bonds you, And of course, seen is the reason that we have generational curses, because we were born in it, and it has been passed down from generation to generation.
So we could say that sin in itself is a generational curse, a generational cycle.
And it's the cause of the effects that we feel in different ways right now. So what was the question you asked?
How would we recognize that in the first place? How would we recognize that there's something within our family that it has been reoccurring, and we don't want it to continue?
Yeah, you do not want it to continue. I'm going to take it to the biblical sense now. Spiritual things are spiritually discerned, meaning that we would require a divine revelation, discernment, to actually see that there is something wrong with us. Sometimes it can be the revelation can come in different ways. You as an individual can see it. The spirit can speak to you, or sometimes you may say you have this feeling, you have this dream, or maybe you have this vision. Sometimes a professional can point it out to you. For instance, for people who might have gone through trauma, they might find themselves in therapy, and a background check can allow you to see that this actually exists. Some people can see it cycles based on viewing social issues that we have in society. And I think this happens more in the case when people want things to turn out right for them, when there is an intentional mindset to make things better, an intentional or a deliberate effort on the part of the individual to grow. And when you see the need to grow, then you realize there are certain things that are holding you back. Or when you find yourself in a different environment and you see things in a brighter light, or things opposite to what you would be accustomed to, what you would have grown up with. You see the difference, then you realize this do exist, or they exist, and you see the need that there is a better way. It does not have to be in the norm. But when you find yourself in that same situation and not wanting to grow, it becomes a comfort zone for you. You see it as normal because you do not know otherwise.
Yes, yes, I agree. So what you're saying is, one of the ways in recognizing generational curses, trauma, cycles is that you have to be intentional about being open to different environments, putting yourself in different spaces. And I mean, sometimes that happens intentionally, and sometimes that happens unintentionally. Like for children, they see behaviors at home, and then they go to school and they have conversations with their friends, or they go to a friend's house for a play date and they realize, oh, something's not right, something's different. And we see that a lot culturally. People of different cultures might go in, and you might be at, so for like Caribbean people, you don't wear shoes in the house, and when you come, you take your shoes off and you come in, and you might go to somebody's house and see that they wear shoes in the house. So to you, all you were used to, and all you were comfortable with is not wearing shoes in the house. But for you to see that, oh, there's something different out there, there are changes, whether you agree with it or not, you must be able to put yourself or be in other spaces so you can actually compare and recognize what's normal, what might not be normal. Now obviously with shoes in the house, that's like a preference. But when we think of actual behaviors, generational curses and cycles and stuff, there are things that are just right, and there are things that are wrong. And the
Like
only
abuse.
yes, and the only way you would know something is wrong if you have to compare it, if you have something
If you
else to
know what's
compare
right.
with it. Yes.
If you know what's right.
Mhm.
Normal can seem like the only option for someone who does not know any better.
Yes, yes,
If
yes, yes.
they have been indoctrinated, they have been trained raised in that particular environment, and this is all they know.
Hmm.
And as long as someone is introduced, now sometimes you may be introduced to other methods, other ways, other lifestyles, other cultures, but you're not open minded.
Yeah.
You're not open minded for you to see, there's another way. That's why I mentioned that it has to be a deliberate effort in wanting to. Because if you're not open minded, it won't phase you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You will be content to stay that way. So this is where the first step in getting over these generational cycles, curses, I should say, is to acknowledge that it does exist.
Yeah.
It it is there. And when you can see it's there, that means there is another way. Now, you might not know the full extent of the other way, but you can tell yourself that it is normal. Growing up in a household where your parents are abusive to each other, whether physical, verbal, emotional, whatever way, can be so normal to you because this is all you see growing up. But then you
Yes.
visit your friend's home and you realize the love and the respect that they have for some other within their own environment. It allows you to think that there is another way. Now, if you do not tell yourself, I want what I see there and I do not want what's at home, you will go back home with that same mindset
Hmm.
to continue in that pattern.
Yes.
But when you've made a deliberate, or when you are intentional in wanting to come out from there, it will not be easy. It will definitely not be easy. But when you have purposed in your heart, in your mind, that you would want to do different and to be different, then this is the first step into getting out of it.
Yes. No, no, definitely. But I think even before you're able to acknowledge, you must be aware. And some of the only ways you can actually know what has been cursing your family or destroying your family for generations is for the older generations to actually be open and inform you of what has happened in the past. So I mean, there's no issue with, seeing your parents have an abusive relationship and want to do better. But if your mom or your dad never tells you that that's what they saw in their home when they were growing up, and their grandparents before, and their great grandparents before. So I think one of the things is being honest and open about what has happened in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we don't like to do that. We like to hide
We
things.
don't,
We were too, I mean, whether we're embarrassed or I know a lot of
pride.
PS pride, and a lot of parents is like, that's not your business. They're not things for you. That's not your age. But what we don't realize is that if we're keeping those things away, then when the younger people, or when
The younger
the
generation.
yeah, the children are going through things, to them it's foreign. It's happening for the first time, but they is it? No, I don't want to use that word. But this has happened before, but they were never informed of it. So now they're going through it, and they probably don't even want to be open about it to tell you, "Mommy, I'm going through this," or "Daddy, I'm going through this," um, because they don't even know that you've experienced it yourself. So I think for sure, one of the things is being very intentional and open with each other, letting us know that this is a mistake I made, and I want you to be careful. Watch out for it. I realize that it's a weakness we have. And I think the crazier thing is too, the devil is well aware of what our families are weak in, what our families are prey to, and what we hold on to. So without a doubt, when the youngest children are coming up, when the kids are coming up, these temptations will be thrown at us, thrown at them, because it's already within the family. So like you said, I agree with what you said about acknowledging it, but it's also important that we are even aware of what has happened, so then we can acknowledge it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But what I want to add on here, even if it did not happen with your um, parents,
Uh-huh.
earlier generation, you still do not want, because you can pick up this from any generation,
That is true.
what it is that you do not want it to pass on to your generation, and pass on. So you
Yes.
just want to stop it immediately. But I do agree with the fact that you're saying that you need to be aware of it. And even, in the event that my parents would not want to be open with me, or to me, about what they would have experienced in their
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
This does not stop me from seeing what's happening with me now is not normal, is not healthy, and wanting to stop it now, so that when you come along, now that, well, you are here, that it does not continue with you, and for you also to see what goes on with me, with us, does not continue with you if you should have children. So at whatever point it is just realizing that it's not healthy, and that we do not want this pattern to continue. So
Yes. So what's something you realized that has gone on in your family that you knew you didn't want to repeat, or can you think of a time that you probably sat down and realized that, wow, like this is something that it is common here, but I would like to end it here.
yes, there are so many things, and that is a raw conversation. Like I
Yes,
said, this
getting a
is
little bit more personal.
unfiltered. Yes, but the expression of love,
Okay.
getting to know the other person's love language, and getting to speak to them. Being This is one thing that I grew up without,
Hmm.
and I really wanted to stop it from happening, you
So,
know.
so are you referring to love language between a spouse or just in general?
Just in general,
Okay.
because we're talking about generational.
Uh-huh.
So it doesn't matter between spouse, or between spouses, or between parent and child, or between siblings. Doesn't matter. Letting letting the people around you know that they are appreciated and that they are loved,
Mm-hmm.
letting them know that, they're special, sharing that moment and not waiting for the moment of death to try to catch up or try to have regrets,
Yeah.
not saying the things that you would have wanted to see. So I always made an effort to be deliberate, in expressing my love. Now, one thing with these behaviors is that it actually has to be learned. In the beginning, we said certain things that we wanted to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Learn. When it's not a part of you, you have to learn it.
Yeah.
And learning it requires you to constantly practice it.
Mm-hmm.
Evaluate yourself and tell
Yeah.
yourself, what could I have done differently? Or what areas, reading, researching, and praying about it.
Yeah. 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 For me, um, I do a lot of thinking and reflecting. So one of I'll say two things I noticed in our family that I said that I do not want to do or I would like to end. Um, is one. I'm going blank. One is ensuring. Oh yes, one is my education. And I think it's important to know as well that not because something is a generational curse necessarily means that the generation who started the curse or who was a part of the curse, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're bad people, that they're um, evil, or that it's somewhat intentional. Because with our family, um, earlier generations, school was not really something common,
Affordable,
affordable,
available.
available. It was not taken seriously, and that's not because our family just stayed and decided they didn't want to go to school. That was,
It was the culture.
yes, it
It
was a
was the
culture. It was
culture.
out of circumstance. It was out of lack of resources and so on and so forth. But
And
then
the availability also. So there are many factors which would contribute to certain
curses and generational like mistakes.
patterns
Yeah,
and
yeah,
behaviors. I would say I don't necessarily say a curse for this one, but
yeah, yeah.
it's a behavior, a behavioral pattern that has contributed to persons within the family not being educated.
Yeah,
But you did see that they came and they tried to send their children to school.
because they were making the intentional decision to break it.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
But I think also that it was not quite intentional so much, like I would have done with me, with you, and my generation in the family would have done with their children, trying to push them to get to that place. Again,
Yeah.
is how much you want it, how much you are willing to sacrifice to achieve it.
Yes, yes, yes. And I mean, we hear this all the time. First gen college graduate or first generation high school graduates. Yeah.
Graduate.
Yes. And we see that a lot, and we see that people. That's like people being that people. That's people actively and in real time breaking off generational habits.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a beautiful
That's
thing. So that's one thing for me, my education, and I was able to finish my degree, my bachelor's degree, the first step out of many more. Mercy Jesus. But I'm proud of that, and I know when I do things like that, or when I'm intentional about breaking those generational patterns, it's not only for me but for those who have gone before me. And another one is we're getting real raw and personal. Let's see. But another one is I wanted to be very intentional in selecting a spouse and ensuring that my family starts off, with marriage. Well, first establishing myself, getting to know myself, then marriage, then kids, and so on and so forth. But like we were saying earlier, you know, generational curses or generational behaviors are not necessarily a product of are not always not I won't say necessarily, but are not always the product of um in deliberate decisions. They're not always the product of our family members were like probably sat down. They're not like our family members sat there and were like, yeah, I just want to do this for doing its sake. a lot of circumstances, a lot of life changes, and even just the times that they grew up in made life go that way. Life is so unpredictable. A lot of people do not plan to do a lot of things in their life, but it just so happened to be that way. But moving forward, it's about accepting that even if they were not able to, for whatever reason they were not able to achieve this, or for whatever reason this happened, we accept that. We've moved on, obviously, because now we're generations ahead, but now we still want to make a difference. We still want to be intentional in breaking it and doing our part for our family.
Okay. You waiting for me to
Yes,
say something?
but it's okay.
Yeah, I can say something like this. Again, breaking the generational cycle. And as much as you are born into it, you can make the decision to come out of it.
Yes.
Now, it will not happen, it will not be broken in this at a particular stage completely, because it will break gradually. Because some of these patterns or behaviors, they're associated with spiritual or maybe demonic influences and all of this. So sometimes it takes gradual and intentional decisions to make it happen. So me wanting to break generational cycle for myself would have affected you. My decision would affect you.
Yeah.
So the decisions that I would make to send you to school, to make sacrifices for you to be there, it's the beginning of it getting to a different stage with you. So now you have to continue with this by being intentional with the decisions that you make. Like you spoke about your family. I would do the same thing in my point. But then you have to be intentional, as in the conversations that we would have, the open, I should say, conversations that we would have. It would be to open your mind into seeing things in a broader light.
Yeah.
Taking you out, giving you different experiences, taking you to different camps, different workshops, and all, traveling to different countries. All of this is part of having you see that things can be different. That the world is your oyster. You can have the chance and the choice. You in a position. You have the privilege to wanting more and to doing more than I did. So now the conversation would be like, what happens when you see? What happens when I say I need to break this this curse, this pattern. How did it feel? When I said that, it felt it would feel scary. And when you want to do this, then the generation before me, some of them might take it personal, and I think most of them will take it personal again because of what they knew then. Unless they do not tell themselves, oh, be open-minded, be deliberate in their too wanting to break this, then they will not see it as me trying to break that generational curse. It will seem like it's something personal.
Yeah.
Like and it will cause them to think like saying that you want to break this cycle. If I don't see myself and realize that it's not something personal, it can make me think that I didn't do a good job.
Yeah.
It can make me question myself. But breaking generational cycle is not something personal. It's a spiritual fight. Because what you went through, if you love me enough, you would not want me to go through the same thing.
Yeah.
So we do what we have to do to discontinue that pattern. So you must not see it as you not having done your part, as you thinking like, I did not appreciate what you did, as you being the victim, and I'm attacking you. It's not a personal attack. It's wanting us to be able to gird ourselves with the authority and the power that we have readily available to us, especially from Christ. He says, I want, beloved, I want of all things that you may prosper and be in good health.
Yeah.
That's what he wants for us. So why would I want to see in a position where I'm always in misery? I'm always we just need to realize that it's not something personal. It's just wanting to do better, and for me to look down and see, okay, my children are good.
Yeah.
God is with them, and they're going on a better path than I did.
Yeah. The response to you taking that initiative to break some behaviors is not always going to be the best, because, like you said, sometimes it is personal, but it's something spiritual. And with that being said, that kind of brings out the point that a lot of the times with breaking generational cycles, and curses and behaviors, and unlearning a lot of things and healing, it comes with a lot of resistance internally, externally. I mean, we are, like you said, we were born in sin and shaped in iniquity, so our flesh in itself does not desire for those things to be broken. We crave those same behaviors, we crave those same mistakes. So now it's about bringing it to a higher power, God, when that internal battle starts. And like I said, the devil is well aware of our weaknesses. He knows what will get us. He knows what got our moms and our dads and our aunties and our uncles, and he's gonna place these same things in our path. So we have internal resistance, that spiritual warfare around us, within us. Doubts, yes. And then we have external from other people, who always have an opinion about what you're doing, or what you shouldn't do. Or I know a lot of people, like, they when you make that intentional decision to do better, do more for yourself, they see it as you think you're better than them, or you're at this height where you're looking down on them, when that's not the case. Because with generational healing and breaking those behaviors, it's not about other people, it's about what you want for yourself. So I'm not focused on what you think or your behavior. That's up to you. I can't change people. We can't change people. We can't stop them from making their mistakes. But what are we doing from the bottom? So I think it's important that when you see someone making a decision to do better, to want better for themselves, it's very important that we do not meet them with the mindset that they're forgetting about us, or they think they're better than us, or they,
in other words, it's not to approach it as making us self the focus.
Yes, because it's not about us. It's really not about us.
You, it's about me, what I see and what I'm trying to aim. So it's not about you, it's about me.
Yeah, and if you're so offended by the person's decision, let's evaluate ourselves and see how we can get on that path too. So a lot of the times we see people offended by these things is because they sometimes desire it themselves, but they don't have it within themselves to actually go for it.
Yes.
So it comes to a time where we really have to evaluate, sit and reflect, and look at the things in our lives that may not be benefiting us, may not be benefiting the people around us, and we have to really fight with the help of God to make that decision to go against it and make better habits.
And better decision.
Yes.
And so, I mean, what you said there is so powerful. When you see others are working on themselves, sometimes we can be a real how I'll say, a trial. We can be a temptation. We can be the enemy's tool in that person's life.
Yeah, discouraging,
just distracting and discouraging it, because we try to make it
About us.
about us.
Hmm.
We we feel threatened by certain when we see someone is changing and aiming for more because we see ourselves as lacking. We see ourselves as not capable. We see ourselves. We make it about the other person when it comes to this that the person is trying to attack you, but no, it's you seeing yourself as less than. But
Hmm.
if you see yourself as I can do it, make it be an inspirational
Yes.
piece for you, a motivational piece for you
Yes.
when you see someone pushing forward, especially someone who's within the same family with you.
Yes. I mean, isn't it a beautiful thing that somebody is taking a stand and taking the push to give you something better? Like, just imagine how different, so many people's lives could have been if the person before them just had a little bit of faith and hope and just took that step. How different your life could have been. So isn't it a beautiful thing that somebody out there sees that and sees the possibilities? They see how big the world is and how the sky is the limit, and they just want to achieve that.
See their purpose, live
Yes.
their purpose,
I think that's a
fulfill their
beautiful
purpose,
thing. That's a beautiful thing.
and it's something that we all have the power in us to do.
Yeah.
You just need to make that decision right now. Tell yourself that you want to make a difference. Tell yourself that you want to make a difference in the world, and making a difference in the world begins with changing your mindset, removing your mindset from the gutter and growing out of the gutter, because like we know the story with a diamond. When a diamond has to go through some tough moments before
Yes. To
it
be.
can reveal its true value,
Mm-hmm.
before it can fulfill its purpose on someone's finger, or wherever it's been used, and you can see it shine. Some of us need to come out of the gutter. We need to come out. There are people, sometimes there are cases, there are ways that people are trying to get us out. And one of these ways is a motivational conversation.
Yeah.
You just listening to us right now, I pray it's a moment that you can see that you need to get out of this place that you are, and take the step, shoot out your roots and see where it can grow. But you need to tell yourself, okay, I will allow myself to come out. And you know that you're not in it alone. And now I know, again, some persons may not have a community around
Yes. To give
them
that
to give
support.
them the support. A lot of us do not. Some of us have people around us, but they're not the ones who will message you and tell you keep going. And these are all reasons why we want to break the bad generational habits and patterns that brings destruction to us, as individuals, where we want to get people encouraging us to go forward and encouraging us to do more. People just watch you from a distance, and it's so hard for them to put the words together. But do not let that deter you. Do not let it deter you, because when you have the vision, when God himself has impressed on your minds,
Yeah.
and your person to do something, he knows all your imperfections, he knows all our weaknesses. He knows that we're not perfect. We'll be shooting bullets here and there, and sometimes our memory can fail us on here. But when he has given you something to do, he will empower you, and he's right there with you.
Yes. By bullets, you mean like mistakes, like vocabulary
Yes.
mistakes? Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
bullets.
Yes. But yeah. Um. As we go a little bit further, do you want to share something you wish you were taught sooner? Something you wish you knew earlier that could have probably helped you in starting the whole process of breaking those generational cycles and curses, or unlearning some things or learning some things.
Okay. So, a little short history. My upbringing would be a little bit complex, out of the norm. I grew up with another generation.
Yeah.
So even if I was Gen Z?
You mean like me?
No,
Or like just an example, or your actual generation?
my
Gen
generation.
X.
Millennial.
Yes, Gen X millennial.
I'm always missing them. Even if I'm a millennial, the generation before me was what I grew up in.
Are those baby boomers?
No, baby boomers would have been my grandmother. Yeah, baby boomers, and before that, you have the silent generation. Yeah, sometimes we don't get it right.
It's a complicated
It,
process.
yes,
Yes.
and I would have grown up with my mother's generation,
Mm-hmm.
in the household, extended
Yes.
family. So where I would have been a millennial, I had that old soul kind of
Upbringing.
yes,
Yes.
kind of upbringing and mentality. So it's like I was trying to strip myself of this mindset,
Uh-huh.
certain habits from this mindset, and then also from my own generation, trying to fall in place in my generation and making
I see.
a mark in my
I
generation
see. I
and to
see.
get out of it. But again, the generational cycles. So the education in my growing up with my mom's her siblings, none of them would have, well, some of them, those who migrated, were able to go to school.
Yeah.
But those I grew up with, they did not go like to high school, or it was
Circumstances,
circumstances.
Yeah.
So I went there, went to community college and stuff. But then I wanted to become a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And then the thing about it is that I always knew I had what it takes
Oh,
internally.
wow.
I always knew that I had what it takes. I had the drive.
That's
I
good.
wanted to do it. I just knew I could. I mean, life has changed me a bit, and I found myself going into my shell, and certain things have roughened me up, and you go through different changes. But sometimes I'm reminded by my past schoolmates who went to school with me, had children, and they were telling me a few times I would be sharing your videos from YouTube when you just started
Uh-huh.
doing this, and I would have some friends, especially one who would always remind me, this could be you. And I was like, she was very influential in me coming out there and doing what I do,
Uh-huh.
because she's always telling me, you were born for that. From the time you were going to school, you were always this one who would be giving the advice to everyone, and you're always the one who's talking on behalf of everyone. You had it in you, but
Yeah.
then life just had me to
Yeah,
get a
yeah.
bit silent. But I knew I had it in me. But then beyond knowing what I had, I didn't have the support around me. And
Okay.
if persons wanted to support me in my dreams, some of them did not know how,
Yeah.
and some of them couldn't. So those who did not know how, didn't know how it was to help, maybe get a scholarship,
Yeah.
get a loan or
Mhm,
something
mhm.
to help me, fulfill my dream. So if I knew then what I know now, in ways that I could have done this, and the confidence that I have gotten now that I did not have then,
Yeah.
then I would have become have a professional career very early in my life. So that's something to answer you, that if I knew then, right?
Yes. Yes.
I would have done.
Okay, and we can just flip that around and see, how did you take that and use that for the generation you made, which is basically me.
Yeah.
And you flip that around, and you were able to see that, yeah, this is not going to work. That we have to end that right now.
Yeah.
This is something we're stopping today.
Yeah, and I'm feeling a little, even saying this, a bit emotional about it, because it was really a dream of mine. And persons may say, I'm not too old and stuff,
Uh-huh.
but then, life changes, and things change, and you have setbacks that kind of prevent you. But then going through this, what I saw as when I became a mom,
Mm-hmm.
as a matter of fact, I never wanted to become a mom until I knew I could really, thank you, I could really be there for my child, my children. I never had in my mind that what it would be like to be a mom. because I knew what I wanted to be a mom, that I did not have it. I knew that. So I never had thoughts, I never had dreams of having, like you would have, you always talk about your family, your children. I never used to do this. I never used to do this for this reason, that I know I was not ready, and for other reasons.
Yeah.
And when I had you, from the time I accepted that I was going to bring this baby in to this world, my mindset changed. There are certain things that I saw that I would never do. I would be there for my child, help my child fulfill his, well, I thought it was going to be a boy. So help my child fulfill
Mama.
his dream and stand by you. I was determined to put my life, my dreams, everything on a back burner to help you get that foundation that you needed. So I did, well, the sacrifices that I make for me personally, and I would do it again. I would do it again. I would do it again and again. So it's not anything that I want you. I always say this to you, that you think that I regret or I feel pressured to do or anything. It's something that I did intentionally. That's something that I planned to do. I didn't know how it would play out itself. I never knew that we would have lost your dad, and I would be a single mom and having to raise you. I never foresaw these things.
Yeah.
But I knew what I would do in terms of what I can do internally, my character, my personality, my determination, being persistent in helping you achieve your dreams, because I knew what it did to me. I
Mm-hmm.
know what how it affected me. And I knew I wanted to break those cycles by being intentional in
Yeah.
everything that I needed to do to show up for you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's important because I mean, you could see how heavy it is on you and, decisions you had to make and just the whole process of taking a stand and initiating generational healing and unlearning things. It's a hard process and it's nothing anyone can do on their own. First of all, we need God. We need God because, like we said, this is something spiritual. We need support. But even when you don't have that support, you have to have it within yourself, that drive, that ambition, that desire, that hunger. Breaking generational curses, cycles, behaviors, it requires a lot. It's not easy. We mentioned that it is something spiritual, which means we need the help of God. Like, no questions asked. It's a battle that we cannot fight on our own. We also need support, and we mentioned that that might not always be there. You making that decision to want better for yourself and do better, and not choose the path that is normal for your family, for the people around you. It takes a lot, and some people will not be on your side, some people will not agree with that, some people will be against it, they will discourage you. So that's when it comes to what you want,
Mm-hmm.
your desire, your drive, your ambition. How much do you want it? How much do you want to set yourself up? How much do you want to succeed? How much do you not want to be a part of a damaged, broken cycle that has only destroyed the people around you? So it's really about you. How much do you want it, and pushing and getting there, and God will help. And He will also send the right people to support. It might not always be your family who's going to support you, but there's somebody out there who is going to say you can do it.
Yes, yes. So we mentioned earlier the first step would be to acknowledge that there is
Yes, the
the
curses, and
yes, that
also
it
being on,
exists,
and
and then
also,
for you to be determined within your mind, that you mentioned about
yes,
your mindset.
and don't forget, being honest and open with
Mm-hmm.
what has happened, so you know exactly what happened. Yes.
Yes, and number what you mentioned, number one,
Yes.
it's the spirit who works in us to want to do good. So he is the one who will lead you to realize and to acknowledge
Yes.
that it exists and that there is a need to
To
change it.
change.
So
Yeah.
when you've acknowledged this, you need to purpose in your mind that you will complete that journey. You will see through, and you need to repurpose continuously, because there are times it will be very difficult. There are times you would
Yes.
want to give up. There are times where you will feel alone, because I don't think anything good comes easily,
Oh,
like it
not at
is being
all.
said. So
Not
the
at all.
effort must be there, and you need to seek help. You need to seek, find yourself in the word of God. Find yourself praying, talking to God, and you need to seek professional help.
Yeah.
And you also need a community around you who can encourage you. You can share with others the path that you're on, and let them know what your aim is, wanting to do better, and what you're trying to change. You do not have to give all the details, but you let people around you, people who you know, who can encourage you, people who are mentor, who can be mentors to you, people who
Yes.
you admire, people who I believe the Spirit will guide you to. Keep them around you to encourage you. So the moments where you falter, they can help you. And then you need to practice self care. Practice
Okay.
self care to me means not just going out and getting your nails done, your hair done, a haircut, buying
Fresh
an outfit,
haircut. Yeah.
but your health, your health, your mental health, your physical health, your emotional health, which
Yes.
all includes putting boundaries around you, having to stay away from certain people,
Yeah.
having to be deliberate in what you watch, what you read, what you listen to, who you entertain. I believe all this
Mm-hmm.
is part of your health, your self-care, and that you need to prioritize in order for it to be in a perfect or in the right mindset to be able to make logical decisions. And I
Yes.
believe, when you want to leave a legacy behind, when you want to help, you share your story. Many people will not like what you have to say, because
Uh-huh.
many people might take it personal, but you need to share your story. You do not necessarily need to take a microphone. You do not necessarily need a public platform, but you
Uh-huh.
need to share your story, so that
Yes.
someone who comes behind you, your children, your friends, your other family members, they can know and they can see you, on that journey to overcoming these generational curses.
Yes, I like that because I think it's important to ask ourselves, what did we need back then when we were first starting the journey? Did we need someone to tell us their story? Did we need that support? So now that you're further down the line, I mean, you might not have um necessarily achieved the goal, but you are in a better place. Now
In
it's
your
time to
journey.
give back. What's something you needed when you were 15 figuring it out? Now your child is 15, you have your niece is 15, people are sometimes a stranger, somebody you don't know, but they need that support. So asking what would have really helped me? That could be a testimony, a word of encouragement that could actually be tangible things, money, support, giving that
Mm-hmm.
community. So I think
Shelter,
it's really,
food, yeah.
yeah, I love that you said that, because I think it's really important that when we do achieve those goals, when we do break those cycles, and when we do get into those spaces that we have been fighting and praying and working to get into, we have to give back, because
Mm-hmm.
there's somebody out there who is
This is so
struggling,
important.
who there's somebody out there
This is so
who is
important.
just starting off. So don't ever forget. We should never forget where we come from, because
Yeah.
somebody is trying to get where we are. Not necessarily they want our lives, but they want better for themselves, and they don't have that kind of support. But you know how it was. You know what it felt like to be in that space. So it's
Mhm.
important to give back to those who are also trying to achieve that.
Yes, and this brings me to a very important point, maybe our final point, that breaking these generational curses cycles is not about self.
Yeah.
It's not just about making it
Yeah,
better
you
for
mentioned that.
yourself.
Yeah.
I did mention that word.
Yeah.
It's about helping others. It's
Yes.
about being some sort of uh, influence, encouragement to people who are around you. Because self, must die in order for
Yeah.
us to be able to go through it. We need to be broken. And I just want to remind someone that not because you would have endured certain traumas in your
Mm-hmm.
life, certain bad behaviors in the generational curses, that means that you are a bad person.
Yeah.
It just means that you were you were a victim. You were in a place, in a situation where you were raped, you were hurt, you were abused, you were left alone, you did not have the opportunities. This does not mean that you do not deserve it. And you just need to acknowledge that your feelings of hurt, of pain, crying, it's because you are human. And just as much as the creator wanting what's best for you, if you want it for yourself as much, you can achieve it.
Yes,
You can
yes.
achieve it. So you may need to spend time and time on your knees, because it is needed. Some things can only be achieved with much prayer and sometimes fasting, but it is achievable.
Yes, yes. So we have talked about generational curses, generational cycles, generational behaviors, noticing them, recognizing them, addressing them, accepting them, and choosing in yourself to be intentional in breaking them. The process is not going to be easy at all, but it's going to be rewarding. So we want to encourage you that if you are in a space, ask yourself if what's going on is normal right now. And ask yourself, is this really something you want in your life? Is this really something you want your children to experience? Is this something you want your siblings, your parents to experience? And not only in families, but just in society.
That's right.
How we behave in society. Is this something we want the generation of the country, of the world to experience? And taking that and making and having that drive and that push to make a change and do your part. Just to say this really quick, because you mentioned scientists earlier.
And invent.
Yeah, the inventor. Yes. Look at that. Like, look at how there are so many people in history who took a step, not something that was out of the ordinary, something they were looked down upon, something nobody supported them through, something that people thought was strange.
People did, and something important. Something where people did not have this particular vision.
Yes, like nobody could see it. Yes,
because it was not theirs.
Yes, no, yes, you're so right. Like, people think about before the car was made, how strange people probably looked at the first car that was made and probably like, why are we leaving horses? Why are we leaving wagons?
Carriages,
These things are reliable. Why are we living it? And look at how the auto the car has
branched
grown.
out.
So imagine if that one person stayed there and was like, I'm sure it's not one person, but many people would have contributed to it. But imagine if they just held it to, imagine if they listened to all the discouraging voices and said, you know what, I don't want to do this, we're good where we are. Why do I have to mess up with it? What if I fail? Like, no. You have the opportunity to step out there and start something new, to inspire others and to ignite change in your life. So start today. Break those curses, break those negative behaviors, break those cycles, start healing, start relearning.
And healing may bring some discomfort. It will bring discomfort. It might bring pain. But at one point, you will look at yourself and realize that it does not hurt that much anymore until the pain goes away. So just stay on that journey into healing. And I think if you need to share any experience with us, you can do so in the comments. Let us know, how you probably would have overcome you certain generational cycles, curses. You can share with us, or if you're experiencing it, we would love to hear from you.
Most definitely. Thank you so much for tuning in to the What She Taught Me podcast. Conversations, unfiltered conversation
from a mom who's lived it
and a daughter who's still figuring it out.
Yes, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment,
and we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.